You're listening to Metal Thunder Radio interviews. If you like what you hear, you can listen to the full shows by going to our website, www.metalthunderradio.com. We got tons of great music, videos, merchandise, and more. You can also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/metalthunderradio. You can send us a message, submit your music for airplay, or just stop by and say hi. Either way, hope to hear from you soon.
So we have with us tonight.
Yes, who do we have?
A very awesome guest. Brian, would you like to introduce?
We have Mr. Glen Drover back with us. After last time we had a little bit of a connection issue.
Technical issues last time, so yeah.
Yeah, we had a bad connection, so nothing really worked last time, so we decided to screw it. Let's reschedule.
Which we did.
And yeah, thanks for actually rescheduling with us.
Awesome.
Yeah, no problem at all, guys.
Man, yeah, thank you very much. So yeah, I mean, let's get into it. Let's break right into it, as they say. Now you got a lot of stuff going on here. We're playing a song after the interview here. We're going to be playing Discordia. But why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Like, a little bit about the song. Since everybody's going to be hearing it in a little bit. Give us a little insight on that one.
Well, basically, it's kind of really neat how it actually started, because it wasn't like I'd spoken to Todd and said, "Hey, let's do this." It was I had this plan that I wanted to do. I was going to do an album with a bunch of different singers, so each song would have a different guest singer and a guest guitar player. In the end, I ended up ditching that idea. Story. But anyways, what happened was one of the guys was Todd, and I sent him this one song that I put together, and he really dug it, and he did all the vocals and lyrics and everything else, and recorded everything in his studio space, and everything else was done in mine. So there's really not a lot more to it than that. It just the cool thing is that it came together really easily. And I think there's no question we have a pretty good chemistry here, and I think that kind of that's a reflection in, when you hear the song.
And you met Todd obviously playing with Queensryche, and you guys just hit it off from there, right?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Where you met Todd playing in Queensryche, and then you guys just hit it off and sparked this project.
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew of him, before. I went to a Queensryche show one night, and that's where I met him. And I went up and I played, a song with them. They asked me to play a song, went up, have some fun, and that's where I met Todd, yeah.
That's
cool.
To
alleviate confusion, because people are like, what, you joined Queensryche? What did you do? I joined Jeff Tate's band, to clarify any confusion with anybody,
right?
For a hot second. Unfortunately, I backed out, because of what, I thought it was a little bit different than it was, the situation, and then I found out that it wasn't right for me on a trip to Seattle, and that was the end of that. But, the other Queensryche, which I refer to as I said something stupid one time. I said the real Queensryche or something on a
slip of the tongue.
Oops. I didn't mean it, I really didn't mean it in a bad way. It just came out that way, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah. No, you know what?
Now I'm always haunted by that, but it's like all I was really, trying to do was alleviate any kind of confusion, and saying what I really should have said was the original Queensryche, because that's what it is. It's the core of the
exactly.
Queensryche without Jeff Tate and a new singer. And anyways, there you go.
Well, everybody kind of had that confusion when it first started. It's like, okay, well, you got Jeff. Do we call it Jeff Tate's Queensryche? And the other guys are Queensryche too. How do you handle this?
And you don't want to be offensive, so you don't really know what to say.
Nobody knew what it was going to be called, and least of all me. And when I went to Seattle, we did a photo shoot, and at that point, I thought it was going to be called Jeff Tate's Queensryche, and then I find out it's going to be called Queensryche, and then we're going, they're like, we're going to do an album, and here we got, there's 2 Queensryches with 2 albums going to be coming out. I'm like, man, this is just not for me.
Yeah, and that's
all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, with lawsuits going back and forth, you kind of don't want to be involved
I
in
just
that.
didn't want to be a part of that.
Right.
Oh, I don't blame you.
I had heard that...
I want to go out there and have fun and play music that I love, and that was the whole initial idea. And when I kind of seen what was happening, I just didn't feel right. And I just felt like, very strongly that I had to back out.
No, and you
that's
did.
completely
absolutely.
I mean, you were honest. You didn't lead anybody on. You were honest, and this wasn't for you. That's the way to be.
I got to say, I'd heard that the Jeff Tate one is supposed to be called Operation Mindcrime now, or something like that.
Right. They changed the name of the band to that, and that's great. They're going to do what they want to do, and they play that album and other songs, and that's cool.
Yeah,
cool. It's all good. Hopefully everybody's happy at the end of the day. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought if you're going to call it something, I think it's pretty cool if they call it that, but whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, either way.
Now we'll wind back a little bit, back to 2011. You put out Metalusion, and which I was listening to again today, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah,
and,
it was very
Don't
cool.
Let the World Pass You By and Mirage. Those are the two that I did, which I believe are back-to-back on that album.
Back-to-back, but they're not my songs, though.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
those ones are, but I like them a lot, too. They're actually
there you go.
two cover songs by the same artist, which is Jean-Luc Ponty.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
Jazz violin player, for those who don't know.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, because there was a whole, just the album as a whole. I mean, you can hear, give us a little insight on the album, because I can certainly hear prog on that, but I hear a lot of classical. You hear metal on that. So how did that whole thing come together? Because it's certainly very in-depth. I mean, it's got a whole lot of twists and turns. Give us a little insight on that album, how that came together.
We spent about a good 2 years actually doing that, not consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It was just done over time whenever we felt like it type of thing. It was very laid back. But, we spent a lot of time analyzing it and making sure the songs would grow on us. We took our time with it, I'd make rough, mixes of songs along the way and play them in the car or wherever and just see how they were going to grow on me, if they did or not.
Right.
And thankfully all the songs did. In the end, we actually end up using all the songs that we recorded. But the reason why you have the different styles is, number one, I wanted to do that. It was intentional because everybody knows me as more of a metal guitar player, but I wanted to do some of the other stuff. Because I didn't just only grow up with Black Sabbath. I grew up with, Return to Forever and Jean-Luc Ponty, like I just mentioned earlier, and a lot of Alan Holdsworth, all these different, jazz cats and stuff that, were really influential, and as well as a lot of the instrumental neoclassical stuff that they, called neoclassical from the 80s,
I remember.
McAlpine and Vinnie Moore, and so I grew up with all that stuff as well as the metal with vocals. So I wanted to explore something like that a little bit more, just something I hadn't done before, which was going to be more challenging. And that was shortly after I left Megadeth, and it was, I wrote some of the stuff on there. Jim Gilmore, the keyboard player, who was the keyboard player from the band Saga, Paul wrote some stuff, the bass player at the time, and I did, like I said, and then there's a couple of cover songs, and luckily it all came together in a cohesive way, I think.
Oh, it did.
But it's a mixture of it's a mixture of, some metal, but it's probably because of more of my tones and a few little bits and pieces. But I think for the most part, it's more like prog rock, a little bit of jazz, not necessarily the heavy fusion stuff, but more of the structured jazz of Return to Forever and Al Di Meola and stuff like that.
So this really was a collaboration between all of you guys. It wasn't really dominated by you. Your name's on it, obviously, but it was you gave everybody the freedom to give their input as well, which is great.
Most of us. The bass player came up with some really cool stuff, as well as Jim, and I wrote some stuff. So it was a collaboration. And initially I didn't want to call it. I didn't want to put it under my name.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought the name of the album, Metalusion, was a good band name, but it was more of a push from the record company. I was fresh out of Megadeth, and they just wanted to use my name and all that crap.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
nobody else could come up with a decent name. I was like, come on, guys. Nobody can come up. Like, screw it then. We'll just use my name.
It's like, it ran out of time. Just use my name.
But it really was, as far as I'm concerned, it was more of a band album than just putting my name on it. But whatever, it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
I'm actually very proud of that album.
It's fantastic.
It's great.
It is a very good album.
And of course, like what you said, it's the push from the record company. They're always just thinking money first.
Oh, yeah.
The Glen's name will sell the album.
Sure.
Never mind the talent behind it. It's always just the name.
Well, they're looking at their bottom line and what's going to push it.
Yeah, but some are bad. These guys, to be honest with you, it's a label called Magna Carta. They just turn out to be total creeps. And, I screwed over on a lot of stuff. I was warned. And but I didn't heed the warning, and I went and signed with them and did some stuff. But anyways, we all live and learn. Like I said, I'm really happy with the album itself, and screw the rest. How about that?
Hey, fair enough. I'm with you.
Well, let's wind it back a bit. Now, your first, I guess it was a big gig would have been King Diamond, correct?
That was my first pro gig, yeah.
First pro gig.
Wow.
Now, how did that come about? I mean, because, obviously you can't just, phone up King
you don't
Diamond.
just walk into King Diamond and say, hey, can I play guitar?
Hey, King,
So
can I
how
play
did-
guitar? Cool.
How did that whole thing come about? How did you actually get in touch with him so that he could hear you play and then, of course, from there get into the band?
All right, I'll make it somewhat short because it's a fairly long story. So what happened was in the early 90s, we were seeing that because me and Sean were fans of King Diamond right from the first album when it came out in 85 or whatever it was, 86. But we were noticing from one album to the next, they kept losing guitar players aside from Andy.
Right.
He's been there day one, he's still there, but it was always the other guy on the other side. They were losing these guys. It seemed every album it was another, new guy. And in the early 90s, Sean said, man, why don't you send some kind of a video of yourself playing some songs to their management or something, just for fun, and you never know what can happen. I'm thinking, it's, we're in Canada, and these guys are in Europe. It's like, but anyways, I did it, and I recorded myself playing 4 or 5 songs in a solo or whatever, and I sent it to their booking agency, which is in Denmark at the time, and I got in touch with them, and and they accepted it, and this and that, and they told me that they forwarded the video cassette. At the time, of course, we're talking video. We didn't have
VHS.
Or was it a lot easier these days? But anyway, that's
was
how
it beta?
But it was a lot of fun and very exciting time. And what happened was, cut it short a little bit here. They sent the tape to him, and they put me in touch with him.
Wow, that's
they
amazing.
said, we can only answer so many of your questions. We'll put you in touch with him.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Maybe he had given some feedback to them. I don't know what happened. But anyway, I got in touch with him. He said, yeah, I really like the tape, but we just have new recruits right now. Should something come up, we'll definitely consider you because we really like your style. And then after that, we remained in contact through the years up until 97 when he called me one day. And actually, it was great timing because I worked for an airline called Royal Airlines.
Oh, okay.
And they were just closing shop in Toronto, so everybody was laid off, and
Good
he
timing.
called me up because
really.
so it was great timing. That was the beginning of the musical journey that still goes on now.
That's amazing.
1997, 1998. Ever since then, it's been all about music.
You're facing being laid off from the airline, and all of a sudden, here's King Diamond calling
Yeah.
you. Hey, you want to play?
You want to play?
Yeah,
okay.
It was freaky because I was in stores department and I'd do shift work, and I'd be there, like late at night, and I'd bring my guitar in. Dad, nothing's going on, Those are times that you just you don't forget.
Oh, absolutely.
And that phone call, you had to sit there for a second and say, "No, this isn't real." Who's fucking
Who's
with me?
fucking with me? That's exactly right.
Well, that now.
Yeah, no. I when I called him, he was very nice, and I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I just, but initially, but then when he got in contact with me, in the end, to give me the job, and it was. I got the message when I got home from work saying, hey, like, no way. At that time, we're both Merciful Fate and King Diamond were going, so I didn't know what band he was going to be asking me to join.
Right.
But hey, as long as it was worth him, and
either
at
one.
that point, you get the entire catalog and sit there for hours and learn every single song.
So then you were on House of God in 2000, and so overall, just a good experience with King Diamond. The time that you were in the band.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. It was just the beginnings for me to learn what to do and what not to do on the road, and interacting with these people, and just things being on more of a professional level. I mean, before that, it was me and Sean just struggling to we were starting to get into recording and stuff, and we were having a lot of fun because it was the beginnings for me of getting into home studio recording.
Right.
And then this thing came up, and this was the seed really that was kind of that was planted, that enabled things that came after to happen.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. Now, did this plant the seeds? Is this how the King Diamond gig?
If it wasn't for that and me gaining the road experience and this and that, I wouldn't have got the gig in Megadeth. Dave is a Merciful Fate fan.
Right.
He also knew that I had road experience. If it wasn't for those things, he might have looked somewhere else. Sure.
Now, did he just give you a call one day, or did he just get in touch with you and say, "Hey, I'm looking for somebody now"? And is that how the whole Megadeth gig happened?
No, that was basically a friend from the UK who referred me, and then they they put us in touch, and it went from there. Happened actually very, very quickly. And when I got the initial email about the referral to when I actually got the job, in between that, sending, albums, video clips of me and all that stuff, probably 2 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
It was really, really quick, and, it was really, but my head was spinning, literally.
Oh, I can imagine. And then you were on...
At that point, I had left King Diamond a couple of years before that. My son was very, very young. I wasn't, anticipating or wanting to get into any kind of heavy road work, but this offer came along. I had to do it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I wanted to do it, of course. So that's just the way it went.
And how did it work that both you and Sean joined Megadeth?
I joined the band in the summer of that year, which was 2004, I believe. And we went into rehearsals about a couple of months after I was hired. But the people that were hired at that time, it was me. Nick Menza was the first to be recruited. Then it was me. And then they got Jimmy McDonough, who played in the band Iced Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we went into rehearsals in, I can't remember, September, October, something like that. And it was in Arizona. And after about a week of rehearsals with Nick Menza, Dave decided it wasn't working. I think we all did. And then, but Dave especially, of course. And it was crazy because it was like 6 or 7 days before the first show. And, he knew my brother could do the job. He had already heard, him play with the Eidolon stuff that we'd done together. So he already knew. And he knew he had a little bit of experience, not necessarily as a player in a band, but he had the road experience being a tech. Because in the last King Diamond tour that I did, Sean was actually a drum tech on that tour.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Came in just to have fun. He knew everybody, but he gained the experience of doing the whole, thing, going on the road and the rules of the bus and the lobby calls and all the stuff that you need to do and be organized when you're on tour.
Right.
And so he had a little bit of experience and had, got through the ropes a little bit there. So yeah.
And I'm trying to wrap my head around this because I'm just picturing like how awesome this had to be. You and your brother growing up into metal, all this stuff, and now you're both in Megadeth. It's like that. It's just
it was freaky because not only just the two of us as brothers, which of course is me just getting into the band was incredible because they've never had a Canadian in the band.
They've
always been U.S. guys, primarily from California for the most part.
Right.
And now you got one guy, and then all of a sudden the band is half Canadian.
That's right.
It was a real trip, man. It was a really exciting time, in my life for sure, and both of ours, because it was a good atmosphere for the first little while, and then it was we were seeing the world. We toured the world multiple times. Played shows that, we would only ever have dreams of doing and never thought we would. Touring with, Sabbath, touring with, it's just, it was definitely a roller coaster.
What are some of the highlights? Is there one particular show that you remember that really stands out or shows that really stand out? What are some of the highlights?
A lot. But if I had to pick just one, it would be the Donington show in the UK. It's now called the Download Festival, but it's more popularly known as Monsters of Rock. Or
right.
Yeah. And that's
in the UK. So that was a trip because that was a big show, a very, very big show. It was 100,000 people.
Oh.
First time we played, there was 80,000. They estimated. The second time was 100.
Jeez.
But it was just it was pretty insane.
That is fantastic.
I couldn't even.
All the hometown shows, the Toronto, Montreal shows. Those were very personal, and they all went really well.
Those
those
have
family
to be,
comes down.
Those for different reasons.
Yeah, those have to be great when you come home. You and your brother come home, and all your family and friends come out to the show and everything.
Awesome.
That's got to be just fantastic.
Yeah,
that has got to be great.
And especially, I'm assuming you had to have played like the Rogers Center or something, right?
The Rogers Center? You mean the Sky Dome?
The Sky Dome, yeah.
Yeah, well, not many people play there. That's that place holds like 80,000 people. That's the stadium. We played the Air Canada Center. The Air Canada Center is the more the arena.
Right, right.
Okay.
What used to be the Maple Leaf Gardens is now it's a new building. It's called the Air Canada Center.
Right.
We played there, and then we played the Molson Amphitheater, which is an outdoor amphitheater there. That's the Toronto Amphitheater.
Right. I could just imagine like you guys are growing up, and you you know, I don't know if you're into hockey or anything, but you're watching the Maple Leafs play, and and then all of a sudden you're playing there. You know, it's got to be a trip.
There was, of course, first concert. All those things came to mind, and it was very overwhelming.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, now we're back in present day. Now, do you have any upcoming projects in the pipeline? Is there anything that you're working on right now that that you're up to talking about? New plans in the works?
Yeah, there's going to be some more singles that I'm going to release. I think that with the success of this one that was released with Todd, the Discordia one, I think that it's just, for me, it's given me a path, a way forward. In these times of, you make an album and then it's forgotten 5 minutes later because there's 6 gazillion albums that are coming out every minute.
Yeah. Right.
It's slightly discouraging. Although I will always record music because it's what I do, it's what I love. Everybody wants to have some kind of a path that's that's gonna be productive. And the singles thing seems to be the way forward, I think, at this point. And they did that, or in the '60s and stuff like that. For different reasons, of course. But now it's more the attention span and thievery and all those kind of things. Right. And I think that just again winding up in the Amazon chart. We didn't even think we cracked the 200 metal chart on Amazon. We ended up going as high as number 5 in less than a week.
That is fantastic. That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around that.
That is fantastic.
But it happened, and I just think with that, and also iTunes too as well. I mean, because it's basically just all digital download. If you didn't know, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's on iTunes. It's on Amazon. It's on a whack of other ones through TuneCore, which is a company that I work with.
So this is how people can find.
They're kind of like the record company,
right?
They get the song and then they distribute it through all the digital download stores, Spotify. There's a bunch of them. I can't remember half the names.
That's really how it is nowadays.
And you're doing this on your own. You're not doing this through a label. You're doing this on your own through TuneCore.
We're doing it. We have the freedom to do it, and then anybody can upload and do anything through TuneCore.
Right.
It's not a big. Anybody can do it, but it's a great. I was turned on by some people that have had a lot of success with it, and I thought, check this out. And I wasn't expecting this, so I'm really, really happy. It's given me some more motivation, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Not just, the music, again, it's always there. But the actual, just, again, having the way forward and being, have it being productive and worthwhile, then it's for me, it's been great. So there's another one that's going to actually probably do a few different singles with some different people. I'm sure to do something with Todd. I'm sure at some point when, I don't know.
Right.
But he's busy with Queensryche and doing all that stuff. But at some point, I'm sure we'll do something. Mm-hmm. But the next one that's going to come out is with, it's going to be a little heavier, and the vocals are going to be a little bit more on the heavier side. And that's all I'm going to say about that for now.
Okay.
Well, when
it comes out, still in the works.
Little teaser.
When it comes out, we would love to have you back on, and also obviously play that stuff too, which would be
for sure. I'm thinking it's probably going to be early October that I'm going to release it.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
I already have the artwork and everything. I just haven't really talked about it yet, and I'm just I'll put the word out soon.
Wow, so
I have to finish off a few things, and then I can start blabbing about it.
That's great, and you piggyback off the success of Discordia and just throw another one out there. That's fantastic.
Sure, yes. I mean, but again, I think it's just because I'm just really happy that there's a path that I can follow that I'm happy with, which is doing just this.
Now,
of course, I'm more of an albums guy. I think, like most of us, but in these times, you kind of have to roll with it.
You do
whatever works, and because it's not cool when you put stuff out and half the people can't even make it through song 2 before there are detours.
Yeah, I agree.
Just, derailed, going somewhere else and listening to something else, and it's quickly forgotten about it. There's no fun in that.
There isn't, but it's the attention span of
or lack thereof.
Lack thereof.
I used to love going to the record store and getting like the latest album, like whoever was the latest Metallica album,
just
the
listening
latest
to
Ozzy
it
album.
all the way through.
I would buy the actual LP and bring it home and pull out the artwork and read as the songs would, I would read the words, so I'd learn all the words.
Oh, I did that with all. I did that with all the Iron Maiden
I would
albums.
sit there.
We all did, yeah, we all did that, and that was definitely a magical time, you know. But now it's option anxiety. There's so much stuff that's coming out. People don't know where to turn, and you know what? I'm like that too, man.
Oh yeah.
It's not just, I'm not just bashing other people. I have the same problem because there's just so much. Sometimes I'm like, man. You know, you go to YouTube and you're watching one thing and you see the related link. You're like, oh shit, look at
no, forget it.
I call it the YouTube loop.
The YouTube loop. That's right.
Right, exactly. And it's cool that you have all this stuff, but in a way, it's not. Sometimes having too much is not good.
You're so right, because there are so many times I'll be on YouTube and I'll get halfway through a song and I'll be digging it, and then I'll see like, oh shit, this related link looks cool, and I'll bail on it.
Yeah, totally bail on it.
Oh, it's terrible.
Meanwhile, you got all these tons of bootlegs from the old bootlegs, which I love checking out.
Oh yeah.
And all this really cool stuff, rare stuff. And trying to make it through the whole album seems to be a chore these days.
I know.
It's on my nerve.
It really, no, you're so right with that. Now, what advice would you give this song? Because you've been around the world, you've been in several, big bands, you've seen so much and learned so much. What advice would you give to somebody that's kind of just starting out, in the whole jamming in the garage stage right now, but looking to really make a career out of music? What advice would you give to somebody that's in that position right now?
Well, regardless of the musical industry at this point, with releasing music, as we just talked about, you have to do something. You have to put something out. If you're a band and you don't put out a recording and it's not real or something, you have to have some. You have to have that. That business card, so to speak. Because that seems to be like, here's the business card, which leads to possibly playing shows and bands seem to make probably a little bit more money off merchandise and playing shows. More so than selling albums, or of course they do that as well, selling CDs at their shows and so forth. But you have to do that. Just take your time. I mean, that's the big thing these days is that because there is so much competition, you want to definitely. It's just common sense. Take your time and try to write the very, very best and record the very best you can, so that you can try to make maximum impact and hopefully get some attention from it.
That's
because if you rush through it,
Yeah.
pointless because there's just too much competition out there now.
Yeah, you want to put your best foot forward to break through all the bullshit and the noise that's out there now.
And there's no rush for anything, anyways. Just take your time, do it right, and when you feel it's done and you're really happy with it and it gives you goosebumps when you listen to it, then you put it out.
And I think we can see that too from the song submissions we get from the bands. You can tell the ones that are the more professional leaning, that actually take their time and and maybe get a good recording,
and put some money into it or something,
as opposed to the ones that say, oh, here's a studio, like our rehearsal session, let's get it out there now.
Something they hit like play and record in the basement.
Yeah, it sounds like crap. It's not
it sounds like old time radio. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, again, it's how at the end of the day, you can tell who's doing it, and is it wholehearted or not? You can tell in the recording. I mean, it speaks for itself, I think, a lot of times, like you're saying,
It does. If the integrity's there, it's going to come across.
Yeah, exactly. It really shows it in the quality of the music and the performance.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, for sure.
So now, where can people find out more about? I mean, we went through Summit before. I mean, obviously, they can just search you on iTunes, on all those. Like, throw out any links that you want to promote, websites, whatever you want to throw out there. Go ahead.
Well, I don't. You know what? There is an existing website that's up there, but I don't use it anymore. To be honest with you, for what I'm doing right now, I feel that there's really no need for it. So I'm just I'm all over the social media stuff. So Facebook and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Those are the two main ones. So I'm easy to find. The Facebook one. I know there's a few different ones, but the fan ones. The one that I have, that's mine, that I use, is I can't remember the path on it. I think it's something 75. I don't know.
just search it.
If you go look, you'll see at the end of the path will be a 75.
There you go.
Awesome.
Just search out Glen Drover.
Facebook
on Facebook, on Twitter. I know you're on Twitter as well.
The Twitter one I think is Glen Drover 555.
Yes, it is actually, because I remember I was trying to follow through our Twitter.
The Facebook one's a longer path, and it just ends with that 75. That's all I remember.
Perfect. if they see that, then you're good to go.
There you go. Search. Obviously, pick up Discordia on Amazon.
Yes.
On iTunes and a whole bunch of other places where you can download music.
And you're going to hear it here in a couple of seconds.
We're going to be playing Discordia coming up.
And look out for the new track coming in October, hopefully.
Oh, yes.
So that'll be very cool.
Glenn, thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking with us. We really do appreciate you taking the time out to do this with us.
Yes, thank you very much.
It really was awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys.
And you have a great night. Coming up here, we got Discordia from Glen Drover. Check it out.